Thanks for watching our session today. Jen and I are going to be talking about the 4 trends that are shaping our Martech stacks in 2024 and some specific tools that we're keeping our eye on for this year. I'm Whitney Mitchell. I'm the CEO and founder of Beacon Digital Marketing. We're a full-service marketing agency that specializes in B2B SaaS, technology companies, and specifically cybersecurity and financial tech. And Jen, I'll hand it over to you.
Lovely. Well, when Whitney comes up with all the incredible campaigns that you're going through, Go Nimbly will come in and normalize it throughout your technology. So Go Nimbly is a RevOps consultancy. I'm the CEO. And what we do is revenue operations for companies like Twilio and Intercom and Zendesk. And we're working not only to implement the tools, but also define all the places where there's handoffs, all the places where you might create a bad customer experience. We want to streamline those and make sure that your business processes are supporting your business strategies.
So I wanted to just kick things off and talk about some of the large trends that Jen and I are seeing from our clients that we meet with throughout the year and what some of these trends will mean for your technology stack in the year ahead. So I think the big elephant in the room everyone's talking about, of course, is AI. But this is obviously having a really big impact on how we think about the technology tools we're using, which ones are really being innovative and moving the ball forward for us, and how can we just continue to make even better, faster, smarter, data-driven decisions that are going to push the right outcomes for our companies. So we've got some good recommendations here related to AI and how we're thinking about analytics for our marketing and sales tech stacks. The second big trend we're really seeing is a renewed focus and emphasis on account-based marketing and that tighter alignment between marketing, sales, and our customer success teams to really think about a holistic view of our customers. And there are some better technologies, I think, than others when it comes to measuring and optimizing for ABM programs. So we're going to talk about some of those. The third one, maybe Jen, I'll let you hit on.
Yeah. The third big thing here is around, it actually is very influenced by AI and by ABM, is what are you doing about your data? What's the data structure that you need to implement? What are those new tools that are coming through? And spoiler alert, the fact that Salesforce is no longer really in the center of your data structure, we're seeing data warehouses really take that spot. So at this point, it's table stakes to do a lot of investment in your data, especially I think people are doing that because you can't do AI without a database that you can trust.
Excellent. Yeah, I think the final trend that's really shaping some of our recommendations here is this focus on first-party data acquisition utilization. And it does also tie into a lot of the themes that we are outlining here above. But with the move away from cookies, we're also seeing just people really focus on their communities and how are we actually creating a database and a relationship really with people that are at different stages of their journey with us. So that first party data is becoming much more important. There's some great tools emerging that we can be adding into our technology stacks and testing that are going to give us some really great targeting capabilities as well as just enhanced customer experiences too. Awesome. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about AI and advanced analytics. So it's the shining object in the room. We all want to be using the latest, greatest AI tools. Everyone is really talking about how we can be integrating AI into our processes. But there's several aspects, I think, of AI that are really interesting here. One, of course, is how do we integrate some AI tools into our tech stack that will help us be more efficient, reduce operational costs, get better data, and get better analysis using AI for our marketing programs. It's definitely one aspect. I think another aspect for marketers and to really be thinking about as well is how people are using AI now to search for information and how do we show up better in search when we're using AI to help really find the things we're looking for. So there's a number of different aspects of AI here that are really interesting. I think from our standpoint, we're really looking at this from more of that operational standpoint.
Yeah.
And companies that are using AI are really finding that it's a game changer for them to be driving better business results. So definitely important to be incorporating this in.
One thing I wanted to add, just for anybody that's like feeling a little overwhelmed by AI, and we are, if we take the, what's it called, the hype curve we're definitely in like the trough of dissolution, right? Like we had this huge hype happening over the past year where everybody thought this was going to be incredible and we were all going to implement it and life was going to change drastically. And then now we're all feeling a little bit overwhelmed by it. And that's okay. We're going to come back up. This is like a very normal new technology feeling. And what I'm seeing in some companies, first of all, like there's companies that are really pushing the envelope on this and they're having all of their employees really drive that change. If you're super interested in this and wanting to see companies doing it, like Alina from Chili Piper is like really, I think, a huge force in it. And as I think about the impact of AI on business, one of the really big comparisons I've heard is this comparison to the Industrial Revolution, right? That it's going to change our life as much as that did. But I think the really cool thing about AI is that it's in the hands of the employee. This isn't just a business change that can happen. It's not so expensive that a single person can't be using it. So I think you can look at it in two lenses where, of course, the business should be looking at how AI can change whether it's your models or the way that you're acquiring customers or et cetera, but also as an individual, how you can leverage this to amplify your power and how you can execute. I think that's the really amazing thing about AI. So if you're in that trough, it's okay. We're going to get back out. And AI is not going anywhere. And it's okay if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by it.
Great. I think those are really good sentiments. And I think to your point about putting AI really in the hands of the employee, I think that is a really exciting aspect of it because it can make our day to day jobs or day to day lives much more efficient. And we can feel less like we are doing busy work
Totally.
and this is just something, gosh, that could be automated. I think there's some stats I've read recently about how much of our jobs we really feel like are going to be automated by AI just over the course of the next year.
For sure.
And I really feel it with my own job.
Same.
Great. I think some of the tools as we think about how we are evolving our tech stack in 2024, there are so many great tools out there really on the cutting edge of incorporating AI into their tools. From a analytics standpoint, I think Tableau is really doing a fantastic job of integrating AI into their platform in a way that helps us get better business intelligence out of our data. I think there's innovative tools like MadKudu is one example that helps you out of your data better predict and prioritize the revenue generating signals from your own data than your CRM, which is really interesting if you have enough data there to actually work with. And I know you've been working on some kind of similar projects as well with the intent data that you potentially have as well.
Totally. I love seeing Intercom there. They're one of our big customers, and Matt Kudu's a partner. And we've actually done a project with the two of them that is like one, these products are implementing AI into their products, right? Intercom launched AI as part of their product to be able to let CS and representatives and product teams execute a lot more tickets through AI than they might do otherwise. So, like amplifying the ability for you not to have to just scale with people. Lovely, amazing. They're also using AI in the background to do their go to market work. So, one of the things that they did was look at product usage, actually using, I believe, Matt Kudu to identify product signals to see which of their customers are the best. It is very meta, but which of their customers are the best fit for their AI platform. So they're looking at, do you use a lot of conversations? Is the amount of conversations growing? Like, you are a great fit for our AI platform. Let's reach out and have a discussion about this add-on. So there's like kind of two sides. There's of course the big hype, which is every company needs to have an AI feature, and we're going to continue to see that. But then there's also the side of how are you using AI in the background to better your go-to-market operations, to elevate the right leads. This was the promise of MQL scoring a long time ago, if we flash back to 5 years ago. But that's what's happening now, even with product usage for expansion.
Great. Yeah, I think another really interesting tool on the market right now is Seventh Sense. This is a really interesting one because it's actually using AI on an individual level to programatize when you're sending out emails based on an individual's own preferences and engagement patterns with your email. So no longer are you just scheduling by time zone. And that was the big thing that we're now able to do based on an individual's time zone, actually schedule it for the same time globally. But now you can actually just look at Jen opens her emails on Saturday morning, and that's the time she's most engaged with emails. So for Jen, we're going to send it on Saturday. but Whitney really opens her emails Wednesday morning, and that's the time she cleans out her inbox, and we're going to send it to Whitney on Wednesday. So it's really a fascinating world where we're now able to get this data on at such a more granular level and then use this sort of programming to really personalize our go-to-market activities.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about ABM for a minute and the alignment between marketing, sales, and our customer success teams. One of the things I mentioned for our clients that we are seeing much more conversation about is really creating our target account list, really going after the exact ideal customer profiles that we want to reach. And recent studies have definitely shown over and over again that companies that are using account-based marketing as their strategic frameworks that are go to market are just having better success, higher ROI, increased average contract value. So it's definitely an approach that works for a lot of B2B firms. So what are we seeing in terms of the technology of how folks are implementing this? I think one of the first things before we talk about the technology as it relates to ABM is that there is sometimes a misconception that you 100% need technology tools to have an ABM approach to your marketing, which you really don't. There's tools out there and platforms you can leverage that help you execute, but a lot of these are really enhancements to your account-based marketing program. And by no means are like, you have to have one of these in order to really be thinking about ABM. But those that are taking it to the next level are using some really cool tech out there. So I would be remiss if I didn't start with 6sense, because I think they're the big player in the space right now. It's definitely the hot tool everybody's talking about. It really does deliver some great results for companies that are able to leverage all of the data and all of the intent signals that they have to offer. And demand-based and terminus are definitely still in the mix there as additional options to consider for really orchestrating account-based marketing programs on a bigger scale. On the sales enablement side, I think this is another piece of just helping to align marketing and sales and the customer success team to really deliver all of the right information to our customers in the best way possible. Seismic and HighSpot are two tech tools that we're often seeing our clients implement with a lot of success, and giving us one location really to help organize all of the information that our sales teams really need to go to market successfully. I think a couple other tools that I get excited about when we get to integrate them into our customer programming are Sendoso or ReachDesk. These are two really amazing tools for allowing marketing and sales to collaborate and really hyper personalize our strategies for engaging our prospects as well as our customers. Sendoso's platform, allows you to have an integrated, personalized approach to direct mail, where we can really create a programmatic workflow to deliver the right direct mail piece to the customer at the right point within their buying cycle in an automated way. So I think that's really powerful. Maybe you want to touch, Jen, on some of the intent data tools that you're really
Yeah.
seeing your customers use.
Honestly, I think this is like there's a bazillion intent data providers, right? And this is one of those things where, as a business, you really have to think about what is the intent data that you're going to do something with. Ultimately, are you going to use it to identify new business? Are you going to use it to identify that there's possibly even a churn risk? I could actually use G2 to see if somebody is comparing me to a competitor that's already my customer. There are so many interesting ways to use intent data. And the big exciting thing is that it's way cheaper than it ever was. Like 10 years ago, I remember Bombora was like the big thing. It was really expensive, and only our customers that were enterprise level were leveraging something like that. And now, younger and younger companies, you even mentioned there's some that are free. You can actually get emails for free about some intent data for some of your ICP. So I think that's really cool. And really, any company can start using intent data to either identify new business or risk, et cetera. The other thing I would say is it's not only these kinds of providers. Again, I was teasing this at the beginning. You have to know your business and know what kind of intent signals are interesting to you. For example, we have a customer called Watershed in the climate platform. So, what they really care about is climate commitments. They care when a company has said that they're going to be net zero by 2025. That tells us that they're really committed to their climate impact and are going to need to measure it. And that's not something that, these companies that we know and love are providing. They have to go and sometimes they have to download CSV files and get those uploaded and managed. There's just many forms for intent data. It's getting cheaper and cheaper, and take some risk with it. Find a signal that you think is interesting, create a play around it because you can, and it doesn't have to feel like you have to go implement a gigantic ABM workflow to be leveraging intent.
Yeah, I think those are really great points, Jen. Um, and there are so many tools that you can take advantage of just to get a flavor for it that are free. Bambora, for example, does offer a free trial email that anyone can go sign up for. Propensity actually has a free trial as well that will allow you to get some immediate signals and data on your ICP in a limited way. So you could really just start testing these things out without a major commitment. And it's definitely a lot of fun. A lot of our clients are already leveraging G2 as well as Zoom. And so ZoomInfo has intent data built into their platform as well as part of another service offering that they provide. And for some companies, that's really a great resource. And I think to your point, what's interesting about a lot of intent tools is that a lot of them are specialized in providing different types of intent signals. And you really have to find the tool that provides the right signals for your business. And not all of them are going to be the right tool.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out to the tools that you're already using. So imagine you're using ZoomInfo and they don't have the intent data that you want or the exact signals you want. They will actually work with you. So make sure that you're talking to them because they might not know to track certain things that are unique to your industry. If they care and there's more customers like you, they might actually start tracking those things. So don't be afraid to work with your data providers on that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think the web personalization piece I put in
Yeah.
here will tie in a little bit to our next slide, which I think you'll dig into, Jen. Mutiny is an interesting company that is helping to personalize website experiences based on different, not only intent signals, but based on your different audience segments and really create kind of unique journeys throughout your website. So if you're a larger B2B SaaS company and have as much data that will make tools like Mutiny really powerful, it can definitely be a game changer. We've had some clients who have a lot of success using Mutiny.
And they're a rad team. They throw really amazing events. I've had the pleasure of going to a few, and they're blowing up over the past couple of years. I'm seeing them everywhere. But if we go to the next slide, I think the big TLDR here is that we need to be leveraging data to be at the forefront of innovation and revenue, et cetera. So you've got Forrester that obviously agrees with us that basically if you are making decision with data, you're going to be more successful. So we need to set our operators to have this data at their fingertips. I think one of the disjustices that we do for our go-to-market teams, our leaders, and our reps is we're not arming them with normalized data to be able to make some of these decisions, to be able to honestly route or segment or personalize or plan territories. All of this, quite frankly, takes pretty basic data, and we're not doing it. And so this is one of the biggest areas that I see our customers investing. We've been singing this tune for a long time as operators, and most of the time, okay, take an example. We've all been there, lots of duplicates in your system and everybody's annoyed about it. We all hate it. And you create a wonderful plan to go normalize it and do a bunch of deduping. But it costs six figures and executives are saying no because it's too expensive. That's changing. We're seeing more and more large scale cleanup projects and data normalization projects. Again, I think fueled by the reason that you can't really do a lot of AI models if you're not trusting your data. So I think the time is now to really be investing in it. I started my career at a company called Blue Wolf. They did Salesforce consulting. And we used to do data maps all the time. And we would get on a whiteboard and we would draw one big circle in the middle, and it was Salesforce. And then we would talk about how we get that data into Salesforce. Salesforce was our one source of truth. And then we would integrate other tools to it. So if marketing needed some data usage, we would push it into Salesforce, and then we would have the integration go into Marketo, and you would be able to segment it. That's drastically changing. We're now seeing that the circle in the middle is a data warehouse. Take like a Snowflake out of Databricks. And then we're pushing data to the appropriate go-to-market tools. So not everything is in every tool, right? If we don't need the nitty-gritty, I don't know, data usage or engagement that marketing needs, we're not putting it in Salesforce unless folks need it in there. And that's with tools like Census and High Touch. They're called reverse ETL tools, or they're using the term data activation. But in short, we're taking all the data that's living in a Snowflake or a Databricks, and we're pushing it directly to Salesforce or Marketo or Braze or fill in the blank. And in order for that all to be interesting and good, we're seeing a lot of data transformation happening. So, normalization, a lot of BI teams are doing that within your Snowflake and Databricks, but we're also seeing that within, sometimes it's a little easier as a go to market operations team or RevOps team to do it in other platforms. So, we are seeing this data normalization also taking place within Salesforce. But that means getting tools like Ringlead or OpenPrize, or there's a lot of data management tools, but they're there to be automatically deduping, normalizing key terms, etc. And then at the bottom, you've got your kind of Zoom infos, your Clearbits, your Apollos, etc. And that's because we're no longer seeing companies use one vendor for data. We're seeing multi-vendor enrichment. I also have Cognizant in there. Cognizant has great data in Europe, for example. So we're seeing companies that are getting, for their US companies, using something like ZoomIn for Apollo, and then for European companies using Cognizant, mixing and matching. But the key thing is, how do you not give your reps 16 industry fields? Because maybe they're all slightly different or their nomenclature is different. Make sure you're then taking those and normalizing it ultimately to one industry field after looking at every single vendor and all your data points and normalizing that. I know that seems so basic and silly, but I know we've all felt the pain of 15 annual revenue fields and 10 number of employee fields, and marketing team doesn't know which one to use. If you can push your company to get firmographic fields, the like 5 to 10 that you need, normalize it in one place, I promise you it's like business changing. It will give insights to your team. You'll have better segmentation, better routing, all that good stuff. So TLDR, data warehouse in the middle, normalize and push your data to the right tool.
Well, I think it's such an important transformation to hit on. And I don't think companies are shifting really fast enough. I think we are going to
Yep.
see that excel in 2024 for sure.
I'm super jazzed about it because honestly, it seems so basic, but we haven't been doing it. And so the amount of gains that you get as a business by having data points that the entire business uses and the entire business trusts is like just for every department pretty
Mm.
transformational.
Yeah. I think now with the introduction of AI into the mix for reporting, I think we're going to see it even. I think you hit on this at the very beginning of the slide. Like it's now becoming business
Yeah.
critical because we just aren't going to be able to get the insights and analysis out of our CRM systems if the data isn't clean.
Yeah. And the expectations are high too for those insights.
Absolutely. Well, let's hit on our last topic here around first party data acquisition and how we're using first party data. I think the kind of here is that really marketers have recognized this already, that they need to be getting first party data. They need to own their own data. We can't really rely as much on third party tools due to privacy concerns and a number of other trends happening with data management. So if we do own and use our first party data, you can see some of the metrics here from recent studies from Think Google and Boston Consulting Group. Huge amounts of uplift potential from your first party contacts and your first party data. So how do we get more of this? What we're really seeing an emphasis on coming from a lot of our clients is the need to build communities, host our own events, leverage those direct customer ears to really ensure that we're creating those lasting connections with our prospects, with our customers, and thinking about that holistic view. One of the things that we've often been tasked with over the course of the last year and looking into 2024 is to help our customers assess community platforms that they can be leveraging to build that discourse with their audience. Discourse being one of the tools sometimes that people are choosing to leverage, but there's many of them out there. I, for one, have also seen a lot of the conferences and events that I'm participating in are leveraging more, I'd say, connective event management and engaging event management tools. Huvelo is one that I recently interacted with for an event called Cyber Marketing Con. And it was really fantastic because everybody who was invited to this event had their own feed. There was a whole gamified board of who was engaging most with the community. We really were able to form our own connections as well outside of the organizers, even having to instigate it. It really did create this sense of community around the event that took it above and beyond what the organizers could really orchestrate themselves. And I think we're going to see more of these types of event platforms be utilized to, again, just start to build real audience connections that take things beyond what a single day might be for an event, whether it's a webinar or for an in-person conference.
Yeah, and there's something actually really wonderful about forcing marketers to do more of this, quite frankly, like personalized or in person or a peak experience for our customers. It's totally fine that it came from third party cookies not being a thing. Like, I don't care what the push is. I also think it's influenced by our post COVID world. Humans have been lacking that kind of connection. And I think we're all moving a little bit, I don't know, back to doing business in the 80s, more in person, more peak experiences, more connection. And I think the brands that not only create great events, but your example there where they're able to connect people that want to be connected. Like, I will have really great warm and fuzzies about a brand that introduced me to someone that I got along with, that invited me to a dinner with other people similar to me that I could learn from. And I think those kinds of experiences are becoming more important. The only thing that I would add as you're doing communities or maybe podcasts or more kind of things, they are harder to track, right? The really lovely thing about digital is that we can create systems that automatically track and tag things. You go to a lot of in-person events and now you have to take RSVPs. And if you do dinners and you're not doing check-ins, you're going to do more list uploads, etc. There is going to be more data stewardship that is going to fall on the backs of marketers. And then also just knowing some of this can't be tracked and the dark funnel is real and that's okay. And you're going to have to do a little more storytelling when it comes to why some of those tactics work. You might not have the data.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point about the dark funnel. But it can still actually be quite relevant to how we're actually building pipeline.
Yeah.
I think it's a recent analysis that someone was giving around the amount of their pipeline coming in from dark social far outstripped anything that they were doing on paid or organic.
Sure.
But it was very hard to figure out measurement and
Totally.
attribution for it, because if you just go by your straight up Google source metrics, it might tell you they come from direct traffic or that they're coming via an unknown source. But if you were to ask people directly for their self-reported attribution, they might actually tell you, I found out about you in this Slack community, or I
Totally.
found out about you
I
from
just had a
somewhere.
deal come through and tell me they heard me on a podcast. You got to ask, and you got to get your sales team to ask every single lead how they heard about you. Of course, they're not going to remember perfectly, but they're going to remember the most important touch point. So I think it's good to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. And which gets to maybe a point just about feedback and survey tools,
Yeah,
which I think continue to get better and better integrated. I've really liked how over the course of the last few years, HubSpot's evolution of their service hub has started to include these CSAT surveys, and you're actually being able to store and use that data very in an integrated way. But of course, Qualtrics and SurveyMonkey are really great tools for that as well. And they do help you gather that first party data that you need. So it's just another resource for that. Cool. Maybe let's wrap things up with just the key highlights here from our talk, and hopefully people took something away here, learned about a new tool, learned about our perspective on what we think is going to happen in 2024, and hopefully it spurred some excitement and interest in how to continually evolve our tech stacks. But I think from my perspective, the big takeaway here is that the use of AI with our tech stacks is not going away. Let's embrace it. Let's have fun with it. Let's figure out what's going to work for our specific businesses, and not be afraid to just dive in and start testing things and advancing our use cases for it. I think when it comes to account-based marketing, I think we should all be taking a look at, are we using the right tools for account-based marketing? And are we getting the type of reporting we need to effectively measure our ABM campaigns? So making sure that you've got the right tool set for that, I think, is important. And then I think just to reiterate on our last point here around, develop a way to own more of your data and your first party data, whether that's building communities, whether that's integrating event tools where we're able to actually, again, own kind of those relationships and create the platform for our communities to engage, will really develop more brand affinity. I think maybe, Jen, to your point. Those are my key takeaways. How about you?
love it. Okay, a couple of key takeaways to think about. One, invest in your data architecture. Make sure you're enabling your go-to-market team with insights that matter. So it's not okay to just send a lead with a lead source and say good luck. Like, we have to be normalizing our data, giving the right insights to the right team. Make sure that your marketing, your sales, your CS team all have the data that they need to create that peak experience. There's nothing worse for a customer than to get on a phone with their CS team and be asked, "Are you using XYZ feature?" They should know that. So that's the new normal. The other thing I would say is that the focus on just acquisition is gone. The growth at all costs is gone. So make sure that you're thinking about, when you're thinking about your tech stack, we've been talking about a lot of point solutions and a lot of tools that are really amazing, but they're not just for acquisition. The emphasis on NR instead of just revenue growth is here. And so you have to be thinking about retention and about expansion of your existing customers. Let's get that NR at that 120 range, maybe even above. And then the big thing around, like, I would say, I say this a lot and sometimes I feel a little silly, but your internal silos are real. Okay. So, like, how your teams are structured, how your data is structured, how your tools are integrated, all of that is creating a bad experience for your customer because they don't care that you've handed them off. They don't care that they've moved from one system to another. So, just make sure that you are aligning your teams. I know it's a little bit of an eye roll to say sales and marketing is important, but not only align your teams, but align your data, your tools, your integrations, and just make sure that it feels like a seamless experience for your customer. Ultimately, we're implementing all these tools and all these strategies so that we can delight our prospects and users, so that they really know our brand, so that they get ROI from our product. They keep buying and expanding with us. And you can't do that if each team is worried about one of their parts of the funnel and only their tools. So create that unification of your entire business stack and teams.
Please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Drop us a note on email. I can find us online as well. So look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.